My friend Mike and I have a particular interest in finding owls. So when the opportunity of a decent eruption year of northern owls presented itself, we subsequently planned a trip to northern Minnesota to visit Sax-Zim Bog, the most infamous location to see them. My daughter even baked and decorated a pan of brownies to celebrate the trip. The owls we would be looking for were northern hawk owl, northern saw-whet owl, snowy owl, boreal owl, and great gray owl, the most iconic owl of Sax-Zim Bog, and that's where I'll start. On 2 previous trips to the bog, I had racked up a total of less than 1 minute observing a great gray owl. In 2015, in frigid cold weather, I missed seeing one by seconds due to someone alerting me of its presence using their horn and scaring it away. In June 2023, I caught a brief glimpse of one perched and then flying over the road and disappearing after a full day and a half of searching. On this trip, my luck would change. After an early morning search of Admiral Road and watching the feeders for a while, we were headed down south on Highway 7 when an extended telephone pole made us put on the brakes. We had found our first great gray owl of the trip. It perched for fantastic views before flying off into the woods. Just around the corner, we saw traffic parked alongside the road and stopped to inquire. Another great gray owl was perched, hidden in this stand of poplars. We had to trudge through deep snow to get a good angle for a clear look. It looked like an extension of the snag it was perched on. How anyone found it, I do not know. On our way back past where we had seen the first great gray owl, we saw it again, hidden against the backdrop of the gray winter forest. Back on the north end of Admiral Road, we ran into number 3 for the day. We joined a few others and proceeded to watch it work to regurgitate its last meal. It then flew off and landed briefly for this beautiful look, and perhaps my favorite great gray shot of the trip. From there, we headed down to the Meadowlands to look for a snowy owl, but instead found great gray number 4. We watched as it gracefully swooped over the field, hunting for rodents. It eventually landed near to us for close views and more beautiful shots. On day 2, we slowly drove the north shore of Lake Superior, a known technique to search for boreal owls. In the town of Two Harbors, we ran into 2 other birders at the gas station who were headed to the lighthouse where they had heard there was another great gray owl. We followed and were rewarded with the closest views of a great gray owl yet. Seemingly oblivious to the small crowd of people watching it, the owl waited and watched intently for opportunity to pounce on any unsuspecting prey. Unfortunately, it was not successful while we were there. At the end of the day, we made a stop at Mary Lou's bird feeders. We learned that just a couple minutes north of the feeders was another great gray owl. With some effort and help from others, we were able to locate it hidden well in the trees. This made 6 great gray owls for the trip. I'd call that a success. On our first day, after seeing our second great gray owl of the trip, we headed to Augie's Bog Walk to locate a reported northern saw-whet owl. I had visited this boardwalk in June of 2023. It was well known for the giveaway wooden owls hand-carved by Bob Brisk in memory of his great-grandson Augie. He has since retired from carving them. The crowd of people along the boardwalk made it obvious where the owl was roosting. It had taken a perch within arm's reach of the trail. Even then, it took a bit for someone to get me on the bird at a respectful distance from its location. People took turns slowly and quietly walking down the boardwalk next to the owl for clear and up-close views. A flock of common redpolls was also affording us up-close and clear views at the feeders along the boardwalk. The saw-whet owl is an unusual February sighting at Sax-Zim Bog, as it normally migrates south from there for the winter season. We did not have high expectations to see this species, so it was a wonderful surprise. On day one, after dipping on snowy owl at the Meadowlands and finding a great gray owl instead, we headed southwest out of the bog to search for a reported northern hawk owl. We thoroughly searched all of the treetops in the area surrounding the intersection it had been reported at, but could not relocate the hawk owl. As we were getting ready to head out, a car approached us, and the man inside asked if we were looking for the hawk owl. He said it was currently being seen about 1 mile south of the area where we had been looking. We quickly headed that way. Sure enough, we pulled up and others were already on the owl. It was perched in typical hawk owl fashion in the very tip top of this distant tree. We moved a little closer for better views as the snow began to fall. Having gotten satisfactory views of this incredible owl and getting a little tired of the wind and snow, we decided to head back to the bog. My first and only sighting of a boreal owl was in June 2021 with Mike to Alaska. You can hear that iconic Alaska story in the Alaska Part 4 video linked in the description. We had come to northern Minnesota to try our luck once again. On the evening of our second and last day in the bog, Mike and I debated on how to spend the remainder of our time. Should we check for a regularly reported bobcat, or should we check some previously known boreal owl sighting locations? Maybe we should watch the Admiral feeders for the reported pine marten. We ultimately decided to start at the reported bobcat location and see how the evening progressed. We found tracks, but after giving it some time, we decided to give up on the bobcat. Next, we checked to see if we could catch a glimpse of the pine marten. Success! It came in for satisfactory looks, but it did not stay for long. After the pine marten left, I checked my phone for messages. My heart leapt into my throat. A boreal owl was currently being seen near the intersection of Arcola and Owl Roads. Mike stepped on the gas to make the 25-minute trip as short as possible. When we arrived, the backwoods roads surrounding where the owl had been spotted were loaded with cars. As we pulled in, the scene looked more like a sporting event that had just let out. There must have been well over 100 people. Many people were walking away from the epicenter of where the owl had been spotted, so we asked a group what the status of the sighting was. They said it had disappeared into the woods before they had seen it, so they were headed out. Mike and I had other ideas. We parked and went to join those remaining at the boreal owl vigil, just in case it was spotted again. As we talked with others and waited, we eventually noticed a bunch of people starting to gather in a cluster just 100 yards down the road. and all of their cameras and binoculars were pointed in one direction. That could only mean one thing. The boreal owl had been found. It was tucked extremely tightly into the spruce trees at the edge of the road. How anybody had found it, I do not know. It sat with its head tucked as the sun went down and the light dimmed. Eventually, it did move around a bit as if it were picking at something held in its talons. The group of about 35 faithful who had remained were rewarded as we enjoyed the view of this hardest to find and highly sought after owl species. And then there was one. Sometimes the one that is the least of your worries is the one that ends up giving you the most trouble. We had high expectations that the Meadowlands would have produced, but it did not. Now that we had 4 out of the 5 northern owls, we had to try for the snowy owl elsewhere. Being in Duluth, we checked known areas around the airport and the harbor where they are regularly seen. Not having success, we extended the search into Wisconsin by checking the Superior Airport and scouring the roads around an oil refinery where snowy owls are regular. We struck out again. Surrendering our efforts to see the 5th of 5 northern owls on the trip, we headed home. However, that is not the end of the story. Around 10 p.m. that night, many hours and miles later, as we neared home in Michigan, Mike took a sudden, unexpected exit. He was headed toward Ottawa Executive Airport, east of Zeeland, a location where snowy owls had periodically been reported that winter. We were not gonna go down without a fight. We pulled down a snow-covered farm road and aimed the headlights out on the snow-covered field. In the glow of the headlights, there stood a white bump. I quickly grabbed my scope and we watched the white bump turn its head, revealing it to be a snowy owl. The snowy owl quickly disappeared into the night, but our euphoric feelings of success remained much longer. We had done it. We had found all 5 northern owls on our weekend trip to Minnesota, even if one of them was as we returned home to Michigan.